Hey guys, Dr. Holly here. I am an Associate Professor of Medicine at CU Anschutz Health and Wellness Center and co-founder of the 16-week transformational weight loss program called Stay to Slim. Wanted to do just a little video to keep you updated on the journey that Kathie and Larry are doing. I know a lot of you are watching and supporting them. Some of you are on your own journey with them. They've started to actually reach out and help other people that are on their journey. Wanted to kind of update you on where we are. This video is going to handle or cover weeks 9 and 10 and give you a little bit of the science, a little bit of the insight, a little bit of what we do in the journey in weeks 9 and 10. It's all very purposeful. Nothing is random when it comes to the 16-week program. I already did one video with them about week 9, which is the halfway point, and they talked about their goals. They talked about where they wanted to go. They talked about the biggest changes that they've seen. Wanted to now talk to you about what we do in week 9 and week 10. So if you're on your own journey, hopefully this can help you continue down your path, continue to achieve weight loss and hopefully keep it off, beat the yo-yo, all those things we talk about. So week 9 is the halfway point, and it's also the week we move into phase 3 of the diet. Now, one thing I like everybody to know, if you're reading the book, if you're doing this along with us, is phase 3 of the diet is still a weight loss phase. It is not maintenance. You still lose weight on phase 3. So that's a big myth out there. Everybody's like, I'm not going into phase 3 because it's not about weight loss. I still have pounds to lose. Phase 3 is still about weight loss. You get more options about this time, and I started to hear it with Kathie and Larry, as you start getting tired of the same foods. You want some new stuff. So we've added some more options. You still keep the same rules. You still always combine a protein and carb. You still do the 2 good fats. You still eat 5 or 6 times a day. You still eat breakfast. The rules stay the same, but you got different foods to add in. So you got more of an option. The biggest thing that happens or changes in the Colorado diet, which, like I said, is a weight loss diet, in phase 3 is that you get what I call 2 indulgences. That's what the book says. But actually, if I could rewrite the book, I would change it to be 1.5 indulgences. And that's what Larry and Kathie J are doing, 1.5 indulgence. The 1 indulgence is the one they've had from the very beginning. It's anything. It is absolutely anything you want for one meal. The 0.5 indulgence that we get in phase 3 is always what I call a gray zone meal. And I think this is really important to kind of learn what a gray zone meal is and experience it, because it's going to be super important in weight loss maintenance. A gray zone meal is where the majority of the meal is Stay to Slim friendly. So it's phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3, but you add a little bit of something to it. One thing that makes it not 100% Stay to Slim friendly. So it's gray. It's not 100% Stay to Slim friendly, but it's not 100% indulgence meal. You're living in the gray zone. So for instance, it may be a Stay to Slim friendly salad with steak and veggies, and everything on that is Stay to Slim, and a piece of bread or a roll. Or a Stay to Slim friendly, chicken and rice and veggies that's fixed Stay to Slim friendly, and a glass of wine. Right? So something, or maybe it's salad dressing that normally isn't quite Stay to Slim friendly, but you use that salad dressing on your dressing. So it's something that makes it not 100% Stay to Slim friendly, but it's not your complete indulgence in terms of everything and anything you want. The reason I love this concept is because this is going to become important in weight loss maintenance, and so many of y'all are either black or white. I'm on or I'm off. And there's no gray zone. There's no middle zone. We got to start learning the middle zone. Remember, we're beginning with the end in mind. And while it may not be super important right now in weight loss, it's going to become more and more important that you know what the gray zone feels like. You don't have to be black or white. It's not about perfection. There is a gray zone. There is a middle zone. And in weight loss maintenance, you live in that middle zone a lot. So I want you to start practicing it. To me, that's the biggest thing about phase 3 of the diet. So that's week 9. We talked a lot about the diet. We talked about what they had accomplished, what to be proud of. And it's so great when you hear them talking. It's not just about the weight. They talk about all the other things, their activity, how they're thinking about themselves, changes in thoughts, and just where they want to go. And you can just hear so much more empowerment in their voice and how they talk about it. And then they also talked about where they want to go in the second half. Week 10 is we're moving on, and week 10 to me is one of the most important weeks in terms of a mindset shift, or where you start to see what it's going to take for this to be a forever way of living when you get to maintenance, when you get to the end of your weight loss phase. I like to call week 10 the big why. It is about starting to hook this lifestyle, how you're eating, how you're moving, how you're thinking, how you're engaging in life, all the things we've been talking about, with something that's super important to you. That's not your weight. A big why, your life purpose, your soul's purpose. Or if that scares you, those words are like, I don't know what those are, Holly. I don't have any clue. Another way to think about it is how you spend your time that's super important to you. And that's the key, to you. Your purpose, your big why, how you spend your time that's super important to you is uniquely you, and it is because it is. Someone else may say, this is my big why, and you'll think, I don't get it, because it's not your big why. My big why and your big why are not the same. But when it's your big why, when it's how you spend time that's super important to you, you get it. It is because it is. If someone says, well, why is that important? You're like, duh, of course it's important. It's not important to you. You don't even understand necessarily how it couldn't be important to somebody else. That's when you know you've really gotten linked into that. So week 10, we spend a lot of time in the groups and the teams, and I spend a lot of time with Kathie and Larry going over what is that big why. Some people haven't really thought about it, some people have, but really starting to think about what that big why is. And then what we're going to do in the weeks ahead is tie this new way of living and feeling and being and with that big why. Why are we going to do that? Because that's what's going to make it work. It has to be hooked to something other than weight loss. Weight loss alone rarely is enough in my experience to be something that you can use forever. But if you start tying the way you're feeling and living and the way your life is right now, if you like how it's going, you're starting to feel empowered, you're not feeling stuck, you're moving ahead. And if you can start putting that lifestyle that's creating that with your purpose, with how you spend time that's super important to you, then you're going to do that lifestyle not because of your weight, but because of something that has that intrinsic core value, that internal motivation. That fire is going to stay going because it is who you are at your best self, at your higher self. So we start to spend time in week 10. Remember, in week 2, we did the little why. We peeled our onion and we talked about why you wanted to lose weight. That's how we got it started. Week 10, we're taking another step. We're doing the big why, and we're going to start purposely hooking. I call it braiding your ropes. If you're in class, you would talk about how am I going to braid my ropes? How am I going to start making my lifestyle, how I spend my time and my life purpose, or how I spend my time that's super important to me? How am I going to braid them together? First step, you got to figure out what that is. How do I spend my time that isn't super important to me? Am I doing any of that? Do I know what that is? Am I just going through the motions of life? Or I'm thinking about what really gives my life meaning? Why I'm here? What I want to accomplish? And, all those kind of bigger questions, and start getting at that. So we do a lot of work around that in week 10. So Larry and Kathie right now, they're home thinking about all those things, trying to start figuring out what their big why is going to be. Huge week for long-term success. So think about this, guys. That's one of the things that I think makes Stay Slim very unique is we start to hook this to something other than weight loss. We make it bigger than weight loss. All right, what are your take-homes? What could you do? I wrote them down. First thing I want you to do is practice gray zone. I'm going to tell you that's a skill you're going to need. So practice gray zone with your meals. If you're going through this with them, or if you're even doing any other eating plan, can you practice where some meals aren't perfect and you're okay with it? Sometimes when someone eats off plan and they're not perfect, then it's like, well, I ate a cookie, I might as well eat the whole box, right? Or I did this, I might as well just go off the rails. We need to practice not doing that, right? I know that's very common and I've done it myself, but we need to practice the gray zone. So in phase 3, or in the last half of this program, I like to practice the gray zone. So you can do the same thing. Think about what a gray zone meal would be for you and put one of them in each week and see how that feels. Start getting used to that. The second tidbit is you really got to start thinking about your big why. I know sometimes you don't want to do that. You don't think you have time to do that. You got to get quiet. You got to think about it. How do I spend my time that's super important to me? One of the key things I ask them sometimes is, when does time stand still for you? When are you doing something and you're like, oh my gosh, hours have passed and I didn't even realize it. I'm so into it, right? I'm so into it. That's a clue. That is a clue to your big why. So do both of those things this week if you're following along. I think they're really key. It's a big part of staying motivated. It's a big big piece to making this something you're going to do forever, which is really why we're all here. So I hope this is helpful. This is week 9, week 10. Follow along with Kathie and Larry, help them on their journey, and the more we connect, the better and easier is your journey. We're going to be going into social connections and how important that is. So stay connected. If you would like to go through the Stay to Slim program, there are small groups starting this month. You can do that. If you live in Denver, definitely you can sign up for a small group and go through these homework assignments, the program, the exact same thing that Kathie J and Larry are doing. If you do not live in Denver or Colorado, we have a SOS Live Anywhere, Live Everywhere program. Go to www.staytoslim.com and we can sign you up for that. So no matter where you live, we have a program for you if this is something you want to do. See y'all soon. Love y'all. Bye.